Elon Musk reveal secret a Black millonario descubrió atraviese comfort zona. Dicen que el dinero cambia todo, pero ¿qué pasa si solamente es el principio de una pesadilla? Marcus Williams tenía todo, coches plásticos esterriras, heredero popular. Pero una noche, una pequeña interrupción, se transformó su mundo de repente, de equipo, en el glitterante Hans, llevando para hacerle feliz. Smiles glued tight. Marcus estaba en su elemento, la sala brillante del poder, pero el aire sentía pesado, como el mundo se despertaba en el glitter de salida. Marcus cosía fragmentos de una conversación, voces potentes y frías que le separaban de todo su corazón. They spoke about his fortune, no como un regalo Korak a pérdidas de escuelas. Invisibles tragos que fueron compradas y ses.
His hands trembled, clutching the crystal glass as if it could steady his shaking world.
Systemic inequality, one voice hissed. Feeds the whole machine, keeps the rich rich, the poor invisible. Forever. Marcus wanted to turn away, to drown out the accusation burning his skin. But something inside fought back. The truth had scratched at the surface of his perfect life, a wound no amount of money could heal. Suddenly, the room faded, the laughter, the music. The flashing cameras, they all dimmed. What was the cost of his success? What had he built on, buried beneath the city's sparkling skyline? Then came resistance, a fierce, cold storm from those who thrived on the old ways, those who controlled the game and refused to lose. Whispers followed him like shadows, threats barely masked behind smiles. Doors slammed shut where he'd once found welcome. But the biggest blow was yet to come. Sophia Allen, the tech queen, the disruptor everyone applauded. Marcus admired her, a symbol of new power, fresh genius. Until he stumbled on secrets darker than the Gotham night. Behind those glossy PR smiles, her startup thrived on questionable deals. Connected to the same exploitation Marcus was just waking to. His idol crumbled. His own legacy blurred in the shadows she cast. Pain clashed with betrayal. Could he trust anyone? And then, the scandal. A sudden, roaring firestorm in the media. One that splattered names, dragged a former close friend through dirt, and sent Marcus's plans spiraling. Ambitions, hopes, everything balanced on a knife's edge. Just when the pressure felt unbearable, a figure from his past appeared like a ghost, dropping cryptic hints that could shatter the story Marcus thought he knew. Secrets about his rise, his roots, his fight. Night clings tight, the city pulses around him, waiting for Marcus to choose comfort or truth, safety or fire. Can one man dare to rewrite a legacy built on pain? Or will the darkness consume everything he's fought for? What will Marcus do next? The clock's ticking. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Night pressed in closer. The city around Marcus felt both alive and suffocating. A million thoughts raced through his mind, struggling to find their place amidst the chaos. What happened next sent everything spiraling. Crackling tension danced around him. A familiar figure stepped out from the shadows. Sophia, the very person whose secrets had shaken his foundation, now standing there with a wild look in her eyes. But it wasn't just her presence that stunned him. Behind her, a figure emerged, a tall man in a crisp suit, face obscured by an ever-present smirk. Marcus felt a chill run up his spine. The man's reputation buzzed through the air, a name spoken in hushed tones. Terrence Blake, the ruthless magnate, rumored to control half the city, known for disposing of anyone. Wah! What are you doing here? Marcus stammered, feeling his breath catch, gut twisting with unease. Sophia stepped closer, darkened resolve in her gaze. You need to listen, Marcus. There's more at stake than you know. Terrence, he has information that could change everything. What are you talking about? His voice cracked under the pressure. The air grew heavy. Terrence smiled, but it hid nothing. Secret deals, Marcus. Deals that don't just tie you and Sophia together. Marcus felt the walls closing in, his heart pounding in his chest. A sick realization dawned on him. What do you mean? Your success, Terrence drawled, isn't just yours. It's built on the bones of the city. But here's the twist. You're connected to that pain in ways you can't even imagine. Marcus shook his head. What are you saying? Your father, Sophia interjected, voice low but intent. The man you thought walked away? He was part of it all. An architect of the very systems you're trying to escape. Stop! Don't! But it was too late, Terrence continued, eyes gleaming with malice. You see, he didn't leave by choice. He made deals, dirty deals with people like me, and now you're living the consequences. The ground felt like it was giving way beneath Marcus. The weight of unsaid truths crashed over him. You're lying. Am I? Terrence chuckled, his voice dripping with mockery. Or have you been too naive to see the strings pulling you along? Now the silence thickened, crowd murmurs whispering behind them, eyes darting and judging. Sophia stood resolute, but even she seemed to falter. The betrayal cut deeper than he expected. He reached for something solid, some piece of his reality to hold on to, but it was all crumbling. Why are you telling me this? Marcus's voice was thin and shaky. Because, my friend, this city doesn't forgive. You're in a game beyond your comprehension. And if you want to break away, it'll cost you more than coins, Terrence said, eyes glinting with glee. Just when Marcus thought he understood it all, the walls of his world shifted yet again. A sudden crash echoed through the gala. Glass shattered. Panic spread like fire. Get down! A security guard shouted. Marcus dived for cover as chaos erupted. The lights flickered. Some people screamed. Confusion surged. But over it all, Marcus's mind raced. What did Terrence mean? Was it true? Had his father been involved in something so dark? The crowd surged, pushing past him. He caught a glimpse of Sophia, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. But then she disappeared into the throng. His heart was pounding now, louder than ever. The disbelief clashed violently with the truth cutting through him. The stakes had risen higher than he ever imagined. What were they hiding? What kind of web was he trapped in? Everything was shifting. All he knew began to dissolve. As the lights went out completely, leaving only the desperate sounds of panic around him, Marcus felt the full weight of his decisions looming ahead. What would he dare to uncover next? As Marcus stood on that balcony, the city lights flickering like a restless heartbeat, the weight of truth pressed on his chest. He felt naked, exposed. What if everything he'd built, everything he believed in, was rooted in injustice? He needed air, needed to think. But the world felt like a storm, and he was caught in the middle. Pushing through the crowd, he heard whispers echoing around him. "Did you hear about Sophia? What a shame!" Each phrase felt like a brick stacking higher on his conscience. He wanted to scream, to unleash the chaos swirling inside him. Instead, he walked out of the gala, into the chaos of the night. The cold hit him hard. His breath turned to fog in the air. He stepped away from the noise, but it followed like a shadow. His phone buzzed violently in his pocket. A notification. A news alert. Tech queen Sophia Allen's company under investigation for fraud. His heart raced faster. Was this the dark secret he was meant to uncover? There they were, the words flashing on the screen. His pulse raced. But then he saw it. A name buried in the details. A familiar name. His own. Guilt clawed at him. Had he been naive? Blind to the damage? His reflection in a nearby shop window looked foreign. Who was this Marcus? The one glittering in the lights? Or the one wrestling with buried truths? Before he could process it all, the world shifted dramatically. Screams pierced the night. A loud crash echoed, shattering the tense silence. He turned. Chaos beneath the gala. People pulling one another. Confusion, fear flooding the streets like a tidal wave. He rushed toward the noise. A crowd had gathered, their faces tense with horror. Police lights flashed, red and blue lights dancing eerily. A car had crashed into a building. His chest tightened as he made his way through the throng. Panic gripped him. Then he saw it. It was Sophia. Her face, once shining with ambition, now smeared with blood and confusion. She lay on the ground, surrounded by frantic paramedics. "Stay back!" someone shouted. But Marcus pushed through the crowd. He knelt beside her, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. Their eyes met, a flicker of recognition, then a deep, haunting fear. "Marcus!" she whispered, breath hitching. And then, shockingly, "I tried to warn you!" Before he could grasp her meaning, sirens blared louder, drowning out his thoughts. Questions flooded his mind. What had she been involved in? Did this car crash even relate to her? An accident? Or was there something sinister lurking behind the facade? The crowd murmured, eyes darting. Someone shouted, "Get that camera out of here!" The media was closing in, hungry for sensationalism. The bright lights of the reporters seemed to mock the chaos, framing the tragedy like a trophy. Marcus's gut twisted at the thought of their next headline. Then a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Marcus's old friend, David, his face pale and shaky.
You've got to get out of here, he yelled, urgency lacing his voice. They're coming for you. Coming for him? What did that mean? Suddenly, every connection felt treacherously thin. Was his past wrapped up in this tangled mess? Marcos, Sophia's voice broke through the clamor, her eyes wide with fear. You don't understand. It's bigger than you think. The crash, my company, my father. The words hung heavy in the air. Your father? But before she could explain, chaos erupted again. A man stumbled into view, yelling about a cover-up. They'll do anything to silence us. His wide eyes were fevered, desperate. Everything he thought he knew, everything he had, was it all a lie? The walls around him began to crumble. Marcus felt the ground shift under his feet, transforming everything. Marcus, Sophia's eyes remained locked on his, filled with unspoken terror. The darkness loomed larger now. As the night stretched on with dreadful uncertainty, Marcus's heart raced with a single question. How deep did the rabbit hole go? And was he already too far in to escape? Time slipped away, the city around him pulsating with secrets. The winds whispered of betrayal as the pressing weight of the night tightened around him. What would he uncover next? Marcus felt his heart race as he stared deep into Sophia's eyes. Just moments ago, the chaos of the night felt deafening, but now it was all blurring into a haunting silence. Sophia, what do you mean about your father? He managed to murmur, fighting the wave of confusion washing over him. Her gaze flickered with urgency. He was an integral part of the network. The deals went deeper than we realized. Everything we built is connected to the corruption. Her breath quickened, and now they want to silence us both. Before he could respond, the loud crack of glass shattered the moment again, followed by shouts from the crowd. Marcus turned instinctively, the sense of danger prickling at the back of his mind. A figure emerged. This time, it wasn't just chaos. It was calculated chaos. A man in a dark coat, face half hidden, moved through the crowd, hands poised in his pockets, eyes scanning for something or someone. His presence radiated an unsettling calm amidst the chaos. It sent chills down Marcus's spine. Who is that? He whispered, leaning closer to Sophia. But her eyes were fixed, wide and terrified, as if she recognized him. Marcus, we need to go, now, she hissed, trying to pull him up. But the man stopped, not far from them, staring directly at Marcus. You're just as foolish as I thought you'd be, Marcus. His voice cut through the noise, rich and menacing. Marcus felt a cold sweat break across his forehead. Do I know you? Marcus asked, his voice tinged with disbelief, fighting back fear. Oh, you will, and soon enough you'll wish you hadn't. The stranger took a step forward, and the crowd fell into uncomfortable silence, every pair of eyes fixated on him. He held out a hand, revealing something that glinted ominously, a small device. Give that back, Sophia shouted, her courage flaring up. You have no idea what you're messing with. The stranger chuckled softly, eyes glinting with mischief. I think I have an idea of what I'm about to unleash, and it'll tear through this city like wildfire. He pressed a button on the device. A shockwave rippled through the air. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. Screams erupted once more, but this time it felt different, like they were about to witness something catastrophic. People stumbled, and a loud siren screeched, the sound pulsing in tandem with the frantic heartbeat of the crowd. "What have you done?" Marcus yelled, horror dawning on him like a dark storm cloud. The device emitted a signal that stunned everyone. Phones lit up, screens flashing with an alert, news that reverberated through the crowd. Massive corruption scandal unveiled, prominent figures linked. Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. His name splashed across every screen, intertwined with Sophia's in an untangling of accusations. "No, this can't be happening!" His voice trembled as shame enveloped him, but the man was still smiling, watching it all with sadistic delight. "Welcome to the game, Marcus. The deeper you go, the more it spirals. You'll find no sanctuary now." Chaos reigned again as people scrambled, their features painted with panic. Marcus looked back at Sophia, confusion seeping into his soul. She had secrets more than he initially thought. "Why didn't you tell me this sooner?" he shouted, urgency gripping him. "Is this true?" Her gaze darted between him and the chaos before them, fear and desperation battling within her. "I didn't know it would come to this. I thought we could change it. I never wanted any of this." But as the panic swelled, one thing became clear. Everything they built, every ambition, every secret thread weaving through their lives had come undone. Was she lying? Was anyone truly innocent? And then, right in the middle of their confrontation, desperate screams came from a corner of the gala. An explosion erupted. Flames shot into the night sky, painting everything in horror. Marcus's heart sank. It was bigger than any of them had imagined. "Marcus, we've got to move!" Sophia urged, her voice a knife cutting through panic. Outside, the sirens wailed like banshees, urging him away from the horror. But as the flames danced in the dark, a profound question loomed over this unraveling truth. Who could be trusted when the very ground was crumbling beneath them? And what had they really built their lives upon? Night wrapped itself around Marcus like a hushed shroud, shadows creeping into his thoughts. In the chaos of his unraveling world, everything felt amplified. Heart racing, he stood there, the hum of the city pulsing through him, biting cold accompanying a warm rush of adrenaline. He thought of Sophia, her carefully crafted image slowly shattering like glass around him. And then, the unexpected, the sudden crash of his phone against the marble floor. Marcus's eyes darted down to the cracked screen, buzzing with frantic messages. His breath quickened as he reached for it. But in the very act, a piercing scream sliced through the fog of his tea. "Police!" someone shouted. "An emergency!" Frantic now, Marcus pushed through the throng. Panic coursed through the crowd as more screams erupted from the balcony where moments ago he stood eavesdropping. The once glamorous event transformed into a scene straight from a nightmare. He reached the edge, heart pounding, eyes scanning for the source. And that's when he saw her, Sophia. She had fallen, her body crumpled against the railing. But that wasn't the worst part. No, it was the blood. Dark and vivid, staining the gleaming floor like spilled ink, spreading like a dark omen beneath her. Time froze. Everything banal. The flash of cameras, The stares of guests faded away. Shock held him in its vice grip. This was the woman he admired, the very embodiment of success and innovation. Yet there she lay, lifeless, whispers crunching under the weight of what they were witnessing. "Call an ambulance!" someone yelled, their voice breaking through the thick silence. But Marcus didn't move. His legs turned to lead. He couldn't shake a feeling that crept along his spine like ice. The sense that this wasn't just an accident. Then it happened. A stranger pushed past him. A figure wrapped in black, eyes hidden under a low hat. He moved like a shadow, slipping through chaos with alarming ease. But it wasn't just how he moved. It was the small device gripped in his hand, glaring against the moonlight like a blade. "Watch out!" Someone shrieked again, but it was too late. The man raised the device, and the room erupted in chaos. An explosion, a bright flash of light, followed by a sharp crack, echoed through the gala. Just like that, the world fractured. People fell, screams erupted, the lights flickered, and panic engulfed the crowd. Marcus felt his heart race. His instinct kicked in. He darted through the chaos, eyes darting, adrenaline blasting his senses. But he couldn't shake the knowledge that shattered inside him. Was this tied to Sophia? A threat from the shadows? Or was it connected to him, his past, the very success he had built on the backs of countless struggles? Amid the fear, a name echoed in his mind. Marcus Williams. Not just a rising star, but a man with a legacy woven from pain and power. Dark roots that ran deep. He needed answers. He needed to know why this was happening. As the crowd surged, he spotted the shadowy figure slipping away into the darkness. A specter carrying secrets that could tear apart everything he thought he knew. Desperation clawed at him. Could he confront the truth behind the facade before it was too late? He pushed his way through the mass of bodies, ready to chase down the shadows that danced along the edges of his life, determined to uncover the reality hidden beneath the surface. But in the distance, sirens wailed, blending with the sounds of confusion. The night wasn't finished with him yet, and neither was the truth, now teetering on the brink of calamity, waiting to reveal its devastating shape. Marcus stood on that balcony, pulse racing, questions bouncing in his mind like pinballs. The city thrummed below, and all he felt was the cold grip of truth, raw. Comfort or truth? It was a choice he never thought he'd have to make. But just as the shadows loomed larger, a shout shattered his thoughts. A voice, familiar and out of place, cut through the gala buzz. "Marcus, wait!" It was Tasha, his childhood friend, breaking through the crowd, her wine eyes swimming with urgency. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this elite crowd, draped in silk and diamonds. "You need to come with me, now!" "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice a mix of confusion and curiosity. Confusion flooding his words, his heart hammering. "No time! Trust me!" Her breath came quick, panic threading every syllable. He felt the urgency, like a fire creeping up his spine. Without thinking, he followed her. They slipped away from the gala's lights, the muffled sounds of laughter fading as they ducked into a dim alley. Dim streetlights flickered overhead. "Tasha, what's wrong?" he demanded.
I found something, Marcus. About Sophia. About your whole world. You're in danger. His gut twisted. What are you saying? Just listen. Sophia's deals? They're deeper than you think. I overheard her talking with some powerful people. Partnerships that could ruin you. Ruin everything you've worked for. His breath caught. What do you mean, ruin me? How? They're using your name, your reputation, to push their agenda. If you don't break away from her now... Her eyes glinted with fear, and it cracked him open. They'll take you down with them. You're part of their plan, Marcus. A pawn in a game you don't even know you're playing. He stumbled back, the weight of her words striking him. Behind every decision, every success, shadows danced, puppeteering his life. You have to be wrong. I trust Sophia. Do you really? Tasha stepped closer, her voice softening. You think she's here for you? You're just a stepping stone. They want to use you to keep the old system alive, just like the ones in that conversation you overheard. You might be sitting in comfort, but it's built on a shaky foundation, and I think they're ready to pull the rug out. Just then, a sudden crash echoed down the alley. A nearby dumpster tipped over. Heart racing, they turned to see a figure emerge from the shadows, masked and cloaked in black. Marcus Williams? The figure called, voice low and menacing. Tasha grabbed Marcus's arm. Run! They darted down the alley, adrenaline pumping. The figure gave chase, footfalls pounding behind them, the stench of danger clinging to the air. Stop! The voice shouted, gaining ground. Just as they turned the corner, an explosion erupted from the direction of the gala. Bright flames licking the night sky. The blast's heat washed over them, and they stumbled, panic rising in their throats. What's happening? Marcus screamed, realization dawning. The world was unraveling, no safety net beneath him. Everything was a lie, even his perceived success. Keep moving, Tasha shouted, leading him down a side street out of sight. As they caught their breath, Marcus's mind raced. The balance had shifted. The people he trusted most could be the same ones pulling strings behind the scenes. But there was more. Was Tasha really here to help? Or was she part of it too? Every relationship cracked open. Every shadow loomed larger. And the last piece of the puzzle knocked against his thoughts. What if this was just the beginning? What if nothing was what it seemed? The clock was ticking, and the danger was closer than ever. The city felt alive around him, full of secrets, and he was caught in its whirlwind. Everything was in flux, and the choice, comfort or truth, was slipping from his grasp. Night clung onto Marcus like a suffocating blanket. The city throbbed with energy, but all he could hear was the chaotic beating of his heart. What did it all mean? He was standing at a crossroads, his future spiraling like the floors of the dizzying skyscrapers around him. He stepped away from the gathering crowds, the laughter and clinking glasses blurring into a distant drone. His mind raced, haunted by whispers of betrayal and guilt. This was not how it was supposed to be. Then, out of nowhere, the lights flickered. Just for a moment, as if the entire building had shuddered. The air crackled with tension. Maybe it was his thoughts spiraling into darkness. Or maybe it was more. But there was no time to ponder. A piercing scream cut through the night, raw and terrified. It came from the entrance. Panic surged as guests whipped their heads toward the sound. Marcus's instincts kicked in. He was pushed forward, driven by a force he couldn't comprehend.
As he reached the doorway, he froze. The scene unfolded like a nightmare. Sophia stood there, her face pale as a ghost, eyes wide with horror. A figure sprawled on the ground beside her. A man! One of the power brokers he had heard speaking earlier, known for his iron grip on the city's underbelly. Blood pooled around him. Stunned gasps erupted from the crowd. Fingers pointed. Murmurs swelled, drowning out everything. What happened? Is he dead? But Sophia, she was trembling, her usual composure shattered. Her hands shook as she pointed down the hall. I didn't see who. I think they were after me. For a moment, time stilled. All the noise faded, and it was just Marcus, Sophia, and the lifeless body. Suddenly, with a recklessness he couldn't explain, he stepped closer. Then he caught it, a glint on the ground near the body. A flash drive. The kind that held secrets. The kind that threatened to bring powerful people crashing down. Instinctively, he reached out, grabbing it while everyone else remained frozen in shock. Heat coursed through him, wrapping around desperation and adrenaline. He looked at Sophia, who seemed to be spiraling deeper into fear. "What do we do?" he gasped, his voice tight. But just then, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room. Someone had burst through the double doors. It was another familiar face, Marcus's old friend, Jerry. He stood wide-eyed, taking in the chaos. Panic transformed into recognition. "Marcus!" Jerry shouted, his voice raw. "We've got to get out of here, now! They're coming for you!" Marcus's heart dropped. He could see it in Jerry's eyes. They weren't just scared. They were terrified of what they'd uncovered. A sickening realization washed over him. This wasn't a random act. This was an orchestrated elimination. The people who thrived on secrets were coming for everyone. Marcus, Sophia, and Jerry. A new dark truth emerged. This wasn't just about Marcus's success or Sophia's empire. It was about survival. The past was catching up, and with that simple flash drive, everything was about to change. The weight of his fortune felt like a noose tightening. Who could he trust? As he glanced around, he noticed eyes searching in the shadows, lurking figures waiting to pounce. There was no turning back. Was it too late to rewrite his legacy? The clock was ticking louder, and Marcus faced a choice. Do they run? Or do they dig deeper into the darkness they had stumbled upon? "Let's move!" he shouted, grabbing Sophia's arm, and the three of them darted into the unknown. The city pulsed around them, alive, chaotic, holding secrets they had yet to uncover. They dashed into the night, breathless and wide-eyed. Marcus glanced back, the gala's chaos fading into a frantic blur. Tasha's grip on his arm was firm, but he could feel the tension radiating off her. "Where do we go?" he asked, fear creeping into his voice. "Anywhere but here," she snapped, darting down a narrow alley. Sophia followed close behind, her breath quickening. "We need a plan!" "They won't stop!" But before she could finish, a loud crash echoed from the street behind them. The sound sent a jolt through Marcus. He turned just in time to see a figure emerge from the shadows. Tall and intimidating, stepping out like he owned the night. "Stop!" the man shouted, arm outstretched, his voice like a whip. It was the same mysterious figure from earlier, the one gripping the device. "No!" Marcus shouted, panic surging through him. He pulled Tasha and Sophia closer, desperate for a way out. But just then, a piercing shriek cut through the air. A woman stumbled out from a side alley, her clothes torn, eyes wild with fear. "They're coming! They're coming for you!" Marcus felt his insides twist. "Who?" "I don't know, but they—" Then she froze, her gaze locked on a figure behind him, horror spilling across her face. "Flee! Run!" It was too late. The alley exploded in chaos. People appeared from all directions, faces alike. Fear contorted into shock. Screams filled the air as another figure lunged past, grabbing the woman by the wrist. "You're coming with me," he shouted. Marcus felt his heart drop. Everyone was scrambling, pushing for an exit like ants fleeing a crushed hill. He forced Tasha and Sophia to keep moving, shadows swirling around them, but his mind was racing. What the hell was happening? Suddenly, an explosion rocked the street. Fire erupted from a nearby building, flames licking the night sky. Marcus ducked instinctively, pulling Sophia down with him. The heat washed over them, and chaos spiraled around them like a tornado. "I need to know what's going on!" Marcus shouted, voice barely cutting through the noise. Tasha's eyes darted around, frantic. "We need to hide! Find cover!" But the shadows converged. The roar of a motorcycle revving pulsated in the distance. Tires screeched, and a figure roared into view, racing up the street like a bolt of lightning. It was Jerry. "Get on!" he yelled, slicing through the confusion like a beacon. "I can get you out." Without hesitating, Marcus leaped onto the bike, pulling Sophia up behind him. Tasha joined, clutching Marcus's waist. As they sped away, everything blurred. The sounds, the lights, the chaos melding into a deafening cacophony. Just when they thought they'd escaped, Jerry's radio crackled. "They've intercepted the main route! We're getting pinned!" Panic surged again. "Where do we go?" Marcus yelled, gripping tight. "Hold on!" Jerry shouted, veering sharply down a narrow side street. Suddenly, the bike tipped forward, causing Marcus to tumble. He landed hard, but scrambled to his feet, adrenaline coursing through him. He looked around frantically, but froze when he saw it. A flicker of recognition swept over him. The alley was lined with graffiti, but one tag stood stark against the wall, bright and bold. "Marcus, we need to talk." His heart sank. The letters were barely dry. Moments later, a door creaked open, and an older man stepped out, face twisted in intensity. "Marcus, you don't know the half of it." Then, an unexpected and shattering revelation struck him. "It's all connected. Your father, he didn't leave. He was pulled into this web, and you've been part of the plan all along." "What do you mean?" Marcus's voice trembled as he took a step back. Just as he asked, the sound of sirens blared closer, an impending storm, and then everything exploded into chaos. The shadows shifted once more. Relationships shattered. Before he could process it, the man raised a hand, flashing something metallic. An old photo, marred but identifiable. It was a picture he had never seen. A young boy in the arms of his father, surrounded by unknown faces, all grim and dangerous. Your truth, the man breathed, eyes wild with desperation, as Marcus felt the ground fall from beneath him. What is happening? He shouted, mind racing, and as the sirens drew near, enveloping him in chaos again, something deeper clicked in place. A truth wrapped in shadows that promised to reshape everything Marcus thought he knew. As the figure melted back into the darkness, he was left gasping, staring at the picture. The world tilted on its axis, and just like that, the safety net of his life was unraveling. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows? What was the real motivation behind it all? Time slipped away from him. The walls were closing in again, and all he could. Marcus stared at the photo in shock, heart pounding in his chest. This was not just a reminder of his father, it was a doorway into the darkness he never wanted to enter. Questions swirled around him like a storm, thick with confusion and dread. He needed answers. He stepped forward, ready to demand them. The man in shadows shifted, eyes glittering with something that might be pity, or perhaps amusement. You don't understand yet, do you? This city eats people alive, and you fed it. Every success, every deal has its cost. Pain gripped Marcus's chest as he felt the weight of his past choices crashing down on him. They echoed with the truth he feared. The sirens wailed closer, but in this moment, nothing else mattered. Who are those men? He blurted out, heat surging through him. Why did you show me this? But just then, chaos erupted again. A group of people, faces mixed with fear and determination, surged around the corner, bringing a new surge of panic. They collided into each other, hands reaching, voices shouting, creating a blur of confusion. "Get out of the way," one man yelled, and suddenly there was a figure pushing through. A flash of blonde hair amid the dark. "Marcus, hurry!" It was Tasha. Her voice sliced through the pandemonium, frantic but clear. "They're coming!" "Who?" he asked, but she was already dragging him away. Dot. The alley felt tight, walls closing in around him. The noise exploded into an urgent crescendo. Sirens howled, the lights swirling, and suddenly Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his feet. A noise, a gunshot. The world froze. In those brief seconds, everything shattered. The crowd stilled, a deafening silence looming over them. Then came the screams. They weren't far behind. Shadows of figures moved like ghosts, cutting through the thick fog of confusion. Fear clawed at Marcus, stealing his breath. He reached for Tasha, but the grip was gone. He turned just as he heard her cry out, and a sickening rush of ice flooded his veins. "Tasha!" he yelled, panic spilling from his lips. He forced his way through bodies, desperate. Then he saw it. A figure in black, a gun in hand, standing over her. "No!" Marcus shouted, lunging forward. Gunfire again! This time a blast closer, echoing through the alley like a thunderclap. Tasha fell. His heart stopped. She crumpled, eyes wide, shock painted across her features. For a moment, nothing felt real. The world spun as he dropped to her side, knees hitting the cold ground. "Tasha, wake up!" But there was no answer. Everything crashed down on him. The sirens, the panic, the chaos of the gala crashing back. His heart hammered louder than any sound, as if echoing the truth he'd sensed all along. And then, amid the realization, something unexpected twisted in him. The old man from the shadows suddenly appeared, crouching beside them, hands shaky but eyes fierce. "Marcus, listen!" He held out the photo again, urgency glinting in his gaze. "This isn't just your past, it's your future! Tasha wasn't just your friend. She was part of something bigger. Someone planted her here. Someone knew you would trust her." The words hit him like a brick. "What are you talking about?" "Her father." The man hesitated, as the air thickened with tension. "He's the one pulling strings. He wanted to keep you close." The realization struck like lightning. No, it can't be true. But the truth loomed in fragments, pieces that fell into place with a deadly finality. The shadows danced around him now, revealing more than just danger. They unveiled betrayal woven into his life. Just as he pulled the photo closer, dizzy with revelation, the cruel sounds of footsteps approached, drawing nearer. He could feel the lock tightening around him, and all Marcus could think was, what had he gotten himself into? The line between friend and enemy blurred, and as the chaos closed in, he grasped the terrible weight of the truth. In a world wrapped in shadows, nothing was what it seemed. Not even the people he once trusted. "Run!" the old man shouted, jolting him from thought. But as Marcus turned, the weight of betrayal cut deep. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was about piecing together a shattered legacy. And as the figures loomed closer, Marcus knew the real battle had just begun. Marcus knelt on the cold ground, heart racing. The world around him a blur of fear and chaos. Tasha lay still, eyes fixed on nothing. The noise surged like a tidal wave, screams echoing in the alley. He couldn't grasp what was happening, why they were targeting him, why this had to end like this. "Stay with me, Tasha," he pleaded, but her response was stilled. Panic clawed at him, and despair wrapped tighter around his chest. He could hear the footsteps drawing nearer, shadows merging as they flooded the alley. Time felt like it was slipping away. The old man hovered close, voice urgent. "You need to run. This is bigger than you think." Marcus felt the weight of betrayal drop on him like a brick. "Why? Why is this happening?" His voice cracked. The man's gaze was steady but grave. "Because someone needs to take the fall, and they think you're perfect." Uncertainty surged within him, but he didn't have time to question. The sound of heavy boots echoed louder, punctuated by hushed voices. "We can't just leave her!" he screamed, desperation rising. A flicker of recognition crossed the man's face. "She's stronger than you know. Trust that." That was it. He collected himself, urgency breaking through the crushing despair. "We have to move." With a rough lift, he pulled Tasha up, her body limp against him. He couldn't give up. As they inched away, he felt the night pressing closer, shadows wrapping around him. Would he ever escape the nightmare? Or would he always be running from what he'd built, from the very foundation of his existence? Suddenly, a piercing shout penetrated the air. "Stop right there!" Marcus turned. A crowd had gathered, eyes wild with confusion, fear radiating from every direction. It was like a living painting of panic. "This way!" the old man urged, grabbing him. "Now!" They broke toward the side street. But the shadows were relentless. Figures emerged, faces slipping into view, familiar yet twisted. "Capture him!" one shouted, and chaos erupted anew. They ran, weaving through alleys, heartbeats echoing in their ears. Marcus's mind raced. He had to protect Tasha. He had to untangle the web snaring him in darkness. "I won't let you down," he whispered to her limp form, determination swelling in his chest. "I need you to wake up," he gasped, feeling the tension build like a storm inside him. Tasha stirred slightly. "Ma? Marcus?" Her eyes fluttered open, filled with a glint of hope. "Are we?" "Yes," he urged, pulling her closer. "We're getting out somehow, I promise." But the world exploded again. A sound, a loud crash, a blinding light filled the air, and then it went dark. Instinctively, he shielded Tasha, fierce resolve flooding through him. This was madness. This was war. As chaos engulfed them, he felt a hand grip his shoulder. It was Jerry, eyes wide but determined. We have to go. Now, in a moment, they were bolting down another alley, heart pounding as Marcus cast a last look behind him. The shadows were shifting, but a strange sense of hope flickered in his heart. Maybe he could change the course. Maybe he could rewrite his story. They erupted onto a street, the night sky sprawling overhead, the chaos behind them dimming. But the moment tasted bittersweet. The battle wasn't over. They were just shifting gears. "Where to now?" he gasped. Jerry looked at him, eyes sharp. "We need to find a safe place to regroup, somewhere they can't follow." As they ran, each step felt heavier. It was more than fleeing. It was a fight for the light. Would he be chased down by shadows forever? The question loomed as they plunged deeper into the night, the fear clawing at him yet again. But there was one thing for sure. His legacy was his to shape. Aware of danger, ready to face the truth. He had come too far to turn back now. The lights of the city glinted ahead, a reminder of all he had risked, all he was yet to uncover. Would he find a way to claim his own narrative and stand against the tidal wave of secrets lurking in shadows? The pursuit continued, an endless journey ahead. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next gripping chapter of this unfolding saga. It's the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this shocking ending. And don't wait even a second. Share this video instantly with at least 5.